Hi, I'm Wendy. Thanks for joining me. I think this is Flosstube 16, and I'm recording this on Wednesday, April 9th. I'm not sure when it'll get out. I still need to edit it. And anyway, I thought I would do a brief reintroduction just because I have a few new subscribers thanks to the, oh gosh, now I can't think of the name of it. Is Julie on a Facebook group. And I'm sorry, I can't think of what it's called right now. But I am a mom of 3 kids. My youngest is 11, my oldest is 19. We live in Mississippi right now. We are previously lifelong Alaskans, and cross stitch is my main hobby, my obsession, I guess, and that's primarily what I have to show today. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment. I don't really like to go on about myself. I'm a homeschooler, besides my oldest who is in college, but we've been homeschooling since we moved here in 2016. It's almost been 10 years since we've lived here. What else? We live in a rural community. We're about an hour from New Orleans, but we're also about an hour from Biloxi. So we are in the coastal area where we get all the fun weather, hurricanes, tornado, yeah. Anyhow, again, I don't know what else to say about myself. Yeah, I'll give a brief life update. My last floss tube was in February. My husband had just left for work. I'll just say that he does not work local. He works in a place where he has to fly to. So he had left for work right before that floss tube, which was the middle of February. I have my calendar here. February 8th. And then my oldest was in a really bad car accident on the 10th of February. And I'll post a picture of his car to let you see how bad it was. So I had seen our neighbor that lives behind us like leave his driveway, and it was just very fast, and it was different for him. And about a minute later, I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize, and I decided to answer it. And it was a Good Samaritan who had seen the crash, and my son was conscious and was able to remember my phone number. And so the Good Samaritan was also a volunteer EMT paramedic. So anyhow, he stayed with him until paramedics arrived. But in the meantime, my daughter and my youngest son had gone for a walk down the road. So I had to collect them and then head to this accident site, which it was less than 2 miles from the house. And we have some twisty, windy roads in that area. My son was late to work, and so he was driving really fast. And he was not wearing his seatbelt. And he ended up going around the curve too fast and had rolled his vehicle. It was just, a single vehicle rollover, and he was ejected out of the car through the rear passenger door. He didn't go through the windshield, and his only injuries were lots of cuts, scratches. He didn't really even have any bruises. And I can only thank God for divine intervention. It's like one of those things where please join me in saying thank you, Jesus, because it could have been very major, especially with his cuts. He had a lot of sutures along his neck, and he didn't have any sutures up here, but the I don't know. She was a family nurse practitioner. She wasn't a doctor that attended to him in the ER, but she was trying to make light of it, and she asked him, she's like, what were you trying to do? Like, decapitate and scalp yourself? And anyways, it was pretty graphic. I've heard a lot of times that moms can handle a lot of injuries until it came to their kids, and I just I don't know. I used to be a dental assistant, so like I don't know. We did a lot of surgeries, and it didn't really bother me. But when it came for her to suture up his neck, it kind of made my stomach turn a little bit. Oh, but also to get back to my neighbor, when I saw him leaving, he had got a phone call from his oldest daughter who was on her way home from work, and she had seen the car go off the road and called her dad and said, you know, I think I saw somebody just roll their car. And he's like, well, get off the phone with me and call 911. So they ended up busting out of here, and they met her. And he said that he had, he called me after, you know, when I was on my way to get my daughter and my youngest from their walk. And I just asked him, like, are you there with Waylon, who's my son? And so anyway, when I got to the accident, they were there, and the look on his face was just like, please don't freak out. I'm afraid you're going to freak out. And so I don't know, I was able to maintain composure, but I didn't want to freak out also, just because Waylon was awake and he just kept apologizing to me, and I didn't want him to freak out about his situation. So anyways, since I had driven there with my other kids, I couldn't ride in the I can't talk today, in the ambulance. So he was in the ambulance alone with the paramedics until the hospital. And then when I got to the hospital, I told the person at the desk who I was, and that I had seen the ambulance being unloaded, so I knew that he was there. And I didn't want him waiting alone. So like after I had told her who I was, and I waited just a couple minutes, I'm like, can I please just go back there? I don't want him waiting in the hallway and stuff alone. So anyway, yeah, he spent the night, like he was x-rayed, MRI'd head to toe. Our little hospital, a lot of people joke that it's just basically a Band-Aid station. You don't want to have any kind of serious surgeries there. And so I was worried about that, but I figured they could make the assessment and they could send him elsewhere if needed. But they x-rayed him, MRI'd him head to toe, and yeah, he has some glass that they saw stuck in, I think it's his right hand. Yeah, it must have been his right hand, because it's the arm that had the most severe cuts on it. And that still hasn't come to the surface. He had some glass that came to the surface right above his eyelid that we plucked out of there just about a week ago. But he's doing great. Like, I don't ever want that to happen again. I think that changed him. He knows that he's still here he has a purpose in being here. And that night, his cell phone was tossed about in his car, and they couldn't open the front passenger door, because they saw it like really wedged in, I guess, between the door and maybe the seat. So they had to use the jaws of life to pry that side of the car open, and they got the phone out. The sheriff gave it to me at the hospital, but I was worried with his school and work, and he had just started seeing a girl, and I didn't have her contact information, and I had to get in contact with his instructors. And anyhow, he ended up missing 2 weeks of work and school, just from like I said, it was very graphic. All the cuts he had, like he was basically one big scab for about a week, and we still had to make follow-up appointments with the surgeon. The surgeon was concerned about a skin graft maybe having to be done on his arm, which didn't, the last appointment, she's like, I'm going to release you from care. And then we also had to make an appointment. Well, there were several appointments with an ear, nose, throat, because he had to have sutures inside a nostril where his cartilage had separated from, I don't know, the main part of your face. And ENT said it healed well, looked good. And also they did 2 hearing checks. They were done 2 weeks apart. So after having your brain rattled around, your hearing gets messed up a little bit too. Well, that was a while explaining all that. So I didn't get a lot done in February. Just my mind was a little bit elsewhere. And March is, well, we're no longer in March, are we? March was fairly smooth. We entered April. This is my birthday month, and it's a big birthday, so I'll kind of talk about that a little bit later. My hair is just so frizzy and fuzzy. Another thing, I think maybe with trauma from his accident, it was about a month it took, but my hair just started falling out like crazy, and I'm pretty sure that all my brown hair is gonna just come back gray. And I'll thank him every day as thanking him for my gray hair. Let's see, my the start of this month has been great. I think I mentioned before on here, if not, I know I did on Instagram. I haven't been in contact with my parents for years. It's been 10 years since I've spoken to them. But I lost my mom really way before that. It's been about 25 years where I kind of lost who my mom was. And my dad sent a letter letting me know that she had passed away March 24th. She had a major stroke, and I don't know, I feel like I've gone through all the grief and everything years ago, and I'm very sad for him being lonely, and I think I'll be checking in on him now. He seems to be open to at least, I ended up calling, and I didn't know if he would answer. I left a message, and he had called me back. So I think I'll be checking in maybe on a weekly, bi-weekly time period, just to make sure that he's still okay. Their house is at the end of a road, and I don't know, the last I saw, they had built this tall fence all around their property that went across their driveway, and it was gated and locked, and so people don't have access to the house. Even their mail doesn't get delivered there, so I'm just worried about him isolating himself. He doesn't have anyone where they live, and yeah, I'm sad that he's alone. He and my mom would have celebrated their 60th anniversary next year, 2026. So, anyhow, let's get on to the happy stuff. If you sat through all that, thank you. If you fast forward and you're not hearing this, then, it is what it is. So let me go back to February. I have my calendar in front of me. Also, I'll flash it. You guys won't know what all this says, but my red flags there are new starts. The darker bluish purple are FFOs. I have yellow for stitch alongs, and I think there's like a gold color for just a finish. And then I'll show you what I call SAFGO, my start and finish board instead of WIPGO. there's where I'm at, and I'm all caught up for the year. So let's see. February, the Whip Go numbers called were for number 7 and number 8, and I had written down Liberty and Justice by Shepherd's Bush, and I can't read my own writing. You're My Jam by Stitching with the Housewives. So, I'm trying to find my little picture of Liberty and Justice. Okay, so this has a story to it. This is Liberty and Justice, the photo from Shepherd's Bush. This came as a kit, and I purchased it from Stoney Creek. I opened up my kit, and like I didn't see a chart for for what I expected, the little sheep and the flag. And so I don't think I can show this. It was, this is what I had in there. It was for a little baggie. And I had purchased this, I don't know, it was about a year ago. And I was thinking, oh, I purchased this so long ago. It's like, they're not going to be able to do anything for me. I'm going to have to buy like a whole new kit and just to get the chart. But I took the chance and I emailed them, and they were so kind. She emailed me right back. It was like the next day. And she had included the chart in the email as a PDF. So, because I was wanting to start that small chart, and I couldn't, obviously. I decided to pick up another chart that evening, the evening where I discovered that I didn't have the chart. This was another number I had written down on my Safco. It was, I think it was number 9, if I remember right. It's Fireworks by Cotton Pixels. I'm not putting it in the right place. There we go. And I had ordered this as a PDF. I've stitched a few of these because we had black cats, and my daughter is the cat lover in the house. We had outdoor cats. So this is my finish, fully finished, I should say. I used all the charted threads and beads, and it's mostly stitched 2/2 on I think this is a 32 count blue spruce linen, which was also the charted fabric. And there's my back, and I just put some rickrack around the sides. Okay, and then since I got the new chart the next day for Liberty and Justice, I went ahead and I stitched that up, and I used all the kitted floss. And I think that I had switched, like you're supposed to stitch the sheep with one color, and then the stars are another color, and I think it's supposed to be reversed, but it's okay. My sheep is more gray than like an oatmeal. And I believe this was Weeks Dye Works threads that were included in the kit. The chenille trim was included, the little buttons were included. And then I had that backing fabric already in my stash. And I put little charms, the year, and Made with Love. And then my next number that was pulled was You're My Jam, Stitching with the Housewives. And here's my finish. And I used the sticky circles from Fat Quarter Shop, the 3.5, and it says 4.25. And this backer is from Paisleys and Polka Dots. I had painted this, I think, last year. I decided to paint up a bunch of the backers just so they're ready to go. And I had this ribbon in my stash, and this is Priscilla's, no, Chelsea's checks there. And okay, so that's my whip go. Previously, I had in January, I had stitched the Frosty Tiny Town, and I had added in the Frosty Frill, a heart in hand. And I forget things all the time when I'm doing these floss tubes. I typically don't remember to say the fabric and thread that I used. The stitching with the Housewives was the white Monaco, I think, and the Charter Floss, which is Classic Colorworks. And 2/2. I typically stitch just 2/2. I typically stitch on 28 and 32 count. I'm liking even weave more, but I have a lot of linen that I use. Okay, so back to this. I had ended up substituting some threads. I think I used some DMC for the substitution for some of the weeks I don't think I had. And I ended up swapping some places on here. I'll show you I made it into a drum. This is a rotating battery operated base that I ordered on Amazon. It was fairly inexpensive, but I plan to do more drum finishes, and so I wanted to have something that rotated to show all the sides. And I don't remember where they swapped for what, but it turned out so cute. And this was my first drum I ever made. I watched Pfeiffer, the Twisted Stitcher, as well as Helen D's tutorial. I also watched Annie Turner, but they're all great. Gave me the confidence to get started, and this won't be my last drum. I really liked how it turned out. I used, this is a Woolies fabric that I got from it was a fabric pack, and also a coordinating, got some fuzz on there, coordinating fabric bottom. But I really wanted to bring out, there's a lot of aqua color in here. And I used, I think that's a 32 count Snow on Gray from, I think it's Dove Stitch or Fabric Flare. And if I am correct that the company is the same, they just have two different names they go under. And I don't know if that exact color is available any longer. I know I've seen Snow on Blue. Anyhow, so happy with how that turned out. I'm going to set that over there so it keeps turning around. Okay, now is where my organization gets all thrown out the window because I'm trying to figure out what to do next. I was stitching a Quaker with Autumn Yellow Rose Stitcher. Is that her name? Yes, that has to be her name. I'm sorry, Autumn. It's later in the evening and I'm just out of sorts, I guess, today. I had started stitching Primrose Cottage Spring Quaker as part of Autumn's Quaker Stitch Along that she has going on this year. And I knew I wasn't going to use lavender, not that I'm opposed to lavender, I just wanted to use more of a aqua color because I have a lot of aqua in my home. I don't know if you can tell by my wall over here and just some, what's going on up there. Anyhow, I had chosen a neutral fabric. I don't know if I have this marked what it is. Oh, it is. Ivory. And I started stitching in the ivory. And this is, I didn't bring it back here with me. This is Reggae by Color and Cotton that I started using. And I just felt like it was awful drab. I wanted fabric that had spring colors on it, like a hand-dyed, and I decided to stop stitching on here, and it was kind of after my son's accident too, and I just couldn't keep my focus on it. I was just like, I don't really know if I'm liking this, and so I was really taking my time on it. And I ended up finding in my stash Forbidden Fiber Company's Nacreous, I don't know how to say that, 32 count linen. And of course, colors aren't going to be right for what I'm trying to show. Anyhow, I was so much happier with how it looked on there. It has some greens and pinks, even lavenders. I don't know if there's any, no, there's not really any yellow. And I used Lady Dots. I think it's Lady Dot. I have it in this package. Yes. Wading Pool. I don't know what she calls that trim, if it's a crochet trim that she calls it. Anyhow, there we go. And I have a couple little buttons. There's my backer, fuzz. Anyhow, that turned out really pretty. Very happy with it. And I know Primrose Cottage came out with their March Quakers, which were St. Patrick's themed. But Autumn is stitching once a month, or stitching a Quaker once a month for the stitch along. So you can follow her channel, follow her Instagram. And then when I was having troubles focusing in February, I started this chart that I received as a free chart. It was kind of the kickoff to the series that Kiralyns is. She has several designs out now. It's the Quilted Heart series, but this is available on her Etsy shop to purchase now. And I don't think I have it. I'll have to look it up if you'd like to. Oh no, I remember. This is a 14 count Charles Craft. It's not really showing the modeling real well. 14 count Charles Craft Ada. That's kind of looks like a hand eye, but it's a stamped or printed fabric, and I believe it was sunset. And I used Lady Dot Rick Rack for the edging, some of her velveteen for the backing, and ribbon, and I believe this is Chianti. I didn't need to add that bow. I thought I'd just add it in, but because mine's larger than what Kiralyns had on hers, I want to say it was like a full inch bigger than what hers was for the heart blanks that she had purchased. I think mine is like, yeah, a full inch bigger, which I found heart blanks for that too on Amazon. And on her website, she gives information for purchasing the extra trims and whatnot that she uses. So again, it's February. This is the Hope Heart, and again, stitched 2 over 1 on this one using the charted floss, which was DMC. What else did I do in March? Or I'm sorry, in February. Tiny Town Spring. I stitched on some Prairie Schooler Prairie Birds, which I will get to. Let's head into March. Normally I don't do these all chronologically like I am today, but I thought it would help me with my mental organization. Okay, so March's WIPCO numbers were number 9, and number 24. And I had those as number 9 was the fireworks, which I had already showed you. Number 24 is the Little Summer Fling by Luhu Stitches. Little simple strawberry, and there's my finish. I really am so happy. This is so pretty. This is light-hearted cream. I found it in a layer cake that I had. I think it's Moda brand. I stitched this with the charted colors. It's 2/2. I don't remember the fabric. It looks like it's just like a natural or raw. I have it written down. 28 count. Oh, it's the unmodeled side of Vintage Country Mocha. There's my backing. Another little pillow. Down here in Mississippi and Louisiana, it is strawberry season. Like we have to have like the early spring strawberry variety. I can say breed, species, I couldn't think of the word. My mind goes away when I do these videos. Yeah, because it gets so hot here and so humid, we have to have the earlier fruits and those that enjoy the cooler weather, and our cooler weather is now. Anyhow, the Ponchatoula Strawberry Festival, I believe, is this coming weekend. And then after that, it's just going to be hot. Okay, enough of that. So I'm going to add in here something that's not cross stitch. I was doing the Bertie's Year series in 2024, where I made a bunch of the quilt blocks, and my last one to do was January. So I finished, there's January Bertie, and I have a thread hanging on there. Again, these were so fun, and it gave me experience with wool applique and also some quilting, just, well, quilt piecing, I guess. There's no like actual quilting in the background. But yeah. I didn't do a wool club this year. I do have a couple of wool kits that maybe I'll get to, but I don't have any written down plans to do them. So I completed that, and looking down at my notes again, I stitched the flower of the month, which was March. I didn't get that done in February, but I started and finished it in March, at the very beginning of March. Here it is. I'm trying to find it. There's mine. And I do have the magnets. I showed some of those on Flosstube 15, maybe. If not, it was the previous Flosstube. Maybe even my Flosstube extras where I showed my plans for the year. Anyhow, there's March's. And then I also stitched April's. Here is, put these in together. To store these magnets for each month, I ended up just putting them on the back of the board here. So I have that up since it is April. That's the daffodil. And I'm stitching these on 28 count antique white Jobelin 2/2. So for all of the stitching that I didn't get done in February, I didn't just like put the pedal to the metal in March, but I think I just shifted into warp speed. I don't know what happened, but I just have been flying through finishes ever since the beginning of March here. I started this, oops, I just one. Um, the designer on this is RainbowHunter. You can see the little emblem here. I've seen a lot of her posting. I want to say her name is Oksana, but and it's not even on here, on Etsy, it's found under Sawanita, and I'll put the details in the description box. But this is Easter set, and when you go on her Etsy site now, I think there's Easter set 1 or 2, and then there's pink and blue. But I mainly wanted the sheep, and so I ended up stitching the sheep, and this is on that 14 count Charles Craft Ada again, and this is stitch 2/1 since it's 14 count. And I want to say dew is the color of the fabric, but these stitched up so small. Here's another one. This is like from the other Easter set. Like, she might even have them combined where they're all in one now. But I used, since this was such a tiny little piece of, well, tiny little pillow, I ended up using tiny trim. And I want to say this is from Purple Paper Mountain. Might be called a boucle, but it matched the pink perfectly. And this fabric, I'm using coordinating fabric here. It's Countryside. It was in a layer cake, and I can't remember. Let me see if I have it written down. Here's the next one. That's a goose and a bunny. Kind of washed out here. No, I don't have it written down. I know that the fabric line was called Countryside. And I'm going to pause for just a minute because I have one more little tiny pillow from the set that I didn't bring. And I forgot. This doesn't have a touch screen. I'll be right back. That is silly of me. I don't think I'm going to even edit that out. I'll just let you see how goofy I am. Anyway, here's the other one. This was, again, and I don't have the cover for the other Easter set that she had, but it was the same width, but it said, I think it said blessings, and it was in green. But I decided to take the little motif from the center here and put it in between those chicks. And then this is from that Countryside line also. It's not the pink, but it's still a coordinating fabric with these other ones. This one had like a gingham back to it. Anyhow, just simple tuck pillows. I have them tucked in the spring tier tray in the other room. And what else can I show you from March? I finished Prairie Birds, and I'm not going to take all of these out. This is the Prairie Schooler Prairie Birds, and I did this as part of a stitch along. Several friends took part in it with me. Amy from Renewing Stitches and Stephanie, she had given me this chart, and we started the stitch along together. And I said, I'm not going to take these all out of here, but this is what I call my prairie bird's nest, prairie bird condo, all the different birds together in one nest. And I just, where did I get these from? I think it was a wreath, and I just cut the wreath apart and kind of tucked the little stems in. Thought it looked like a nest. I wasn't sure how else I was going to display these because I really didn't want to make them as ornaments, but at the same time, just a dough bowl filled with the pillows, you know, was decent. But I kind of envisioned a nest idea, and I'm very happy with how it turned out with the little flowers tucked into it. And what else? What else? Okay, I started stitching on Feathered Friends series. Sorry, I'm just oh, I guess this is a previous finish, but I fully finished it finally after 10 years of finishing the stitching. I did a Flosstube extra of just showing how I fully finished it. It's the Angel Monthly Afghan. This is the Angel Monthly Afghan by Alma Lynne. I had stitched this with DMC and Krennic blending filament, but I had finished the edging and put a backing on, backing fabric. Again, you can see more of that in my Flosstube extra. But after 10 years, that's finally done. I don't know what I'll be doing with it, but it is done. Okay. I started a series, it's a monthly series. I didn't fully finish it until just the other day, but I started stitching it in March. Over here without knocking other things over. This is a Feathered Friends. Make sure it's straight. This is the April Feathered Friends chart by Fine Frog Stitching. This series, the Feathered Friends, is a collaboration, 12 different artists, and there's a bird charted for each month that goes on the birdhouse from Paisleys and Polka Dots. And I had switched the paint on my birdhouse. Julie from Paisleys and Polka Dots suggested certain colors, and I wanted just a little bit darker. I think the darker brown for the tree trunk and the very top trim was spice brown, and I want to say this inner trim, the wavy trim, is sable brown. I used Sugar Maple Fabrics 28 count Twilight Lugana. Sugar Maple Fabrics is no longer in business. Oh, this is something I could talk about. I normally don't talk about stash enhancements, but I met with a cross stitcher that was giving away all of her stash, and she had an abundance of Sugar Maple Fabrics and the old Silk Weaver. Probably, I mean, it's probably from the early 2000s, and I haven't even gone through all of the stuff that she didn't want any money for. She just wanted it to go somewhere that where it'd be appreciated and used. And she even had it's one of those stands you can buy from Evertote, Hearthside. She had one of those that she gave to me, and I haven't put it together yet. I haven't had time, but I haven't even gone through all the charts. But wow, that was so awesome, generous, and sorry that we met so late. She's not from here. I want to say that they moved here maybe the year after we did. Anyway, she hadn't been here long, and now they're retiring, and she didn't want to move her stuff again. She said she just crochets primarily now, and she's happy with that. So anyhow, this was a piece from her stash, the fabric, the Sugar Maple Fabrics. And that yellow backing fabric I got, it was in a pack from Walmart, a fat quarter pack. They're all kind of, you can't really tell the modeling on it, but there's pink, blue, purple, and yellow, I think, in the pack. And the trim is from Purple Paper Mountain. I want to say it's called Mini Chenille, Micro Chenille. And then these, well, this bow I made with ribbon that I got from Amazon years ago. It was a pack of multicolored ribbon. I think it will last me my lifetime. There's so many different colors and so much in it. And then this little daisy is from a scrapbook pack that I got at Hobby Lobby. I think it was last year or the year before. Anyhow, I use the magnet and washer system on this so I can swap them out. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be putting bows in this location. I just have this stuck on here with a glue dot, and if I find that I'm putting bows in there all year long, then I'll put a magnet in on the birdhouse and washers on the bows. But I did the same for down here, put a magnet and washer. And I ended up, because this backing wasn't very pretty, I ended up putting a piece of quilt batting there with the washer. Not that the backing of the other one is pretty, but it just, like even some of the sticky, I used the sticky stitcher's tape to put that on there. Like this one, it's not pretty either, but well, now I'm looking at it and I see they're sticky on here, but it's not really that sticky. I just don't want it, when I'm storing them, I don't want the stickiness to get on the other pieces that are stored with it. Anyway, that is just the cutest little duck ever. And here is the pattern. The pattern is easy to follow. I don't think the series got the attention it deserved at market. Hi, Kodia. You a good boy? Hi, did you come say hi? And then this trim, there's the trim from Purple Paper Mountain. The perfect shades of pink and green. Checking to make sure he didn't hit the button on the mouse. And I wanted to show these. Because I'm going to be using this series all year, I wanted to not have to cut the mat board or sticky board each month. And there's a seller on Etsy. I want to say it's called Studio C. I'll be sure to link it down in the description box. But you can have squares made that are sticky, and the little rectangles I ordered non-sticky, but they even have the sticky circles you can get like Fat Quarter Shop, and they're actually a little bit more inexpensive, and you can get more in a package than Fat Quarter Shops. You can get the smaller 3.5. I think the smallest was the 4.25. Anyhow, I got enough to finish up all year's feather friends. I'm being careful with that just because I don't have the top glued down to the tree trunk base. All right, and then I also, where's my sheet here? I stitched the Stoney Creek flower of the month of May. I'm already all set for next month. They're violets. This was new at market from Textile Crafts. It's the Heartfelt Home. I thought that I had the backer from Paisleys and Polka Dots, but once I got the stitching finished, I did not, so I just used another one that I had here. I added a bow. Does it look crooked? I added the bow. This heart came in a pack during the different seasons at Hobby Lobby. They have, it looks like a, let me go get it. Okay, I was talking about this little heart. Hobby Lobby and their seasonal crafts aisle. They have these, and that's open there. I don't want them all to drop out. Anyway, they have these packs, and I painted this in the colors that are in the design, and I just glued it on there. But here's, they have winter, and these autumn ones were already finished. Anyhow, I had picked up that pack of the hearts, and I figured I'd put it into use one day and I guess this was the day. But I'm so happy with that. Laura Textile Crafts, she had used the Petit Point linen, and I had some in my stash already, so I just used that and I love it. I love the accent it adds. And it's charted with DMC. Her charting's great. I won't show you the inside, but you know, gives all the details. She used DMC on this. So that was the end of my March stitching. Move into April. April's WIPGO calls were number 4 and number 10. I had written down Patriotic Sentiments by Stoney Creek, and number 10 was Life in, or is it called Life in Full Bloom? In Full Bloom by Stitching in the Housewives, by Stitching with the Housewives. In Full Bloom it's called. So I'll do this first. Allison at Mrs. AZ Family Zoo. She's doing a Stitching with the Housewives stitch along. And again, this backer is from Paisleys and Polka Dots. Here's the cover. And I used all the charted floss, and the fabric is 28 count white Monaco. Daisy trim, Priscilla did finish theirs off with, and I don't remember where I got that. Instead of using, you can't even see it behind the daisies, Priscilla had used Chelsea's checks, and for whatever reason I didn't have the mustard colored Chelsea's checks, but I had the mustard Priscilla's Pretty Plaids. And I used a magnet on this. I don't know if I will ever switch it out to something else, but that gives me the option if I do. That's in Full Bloom. And then the Patriotic Sentiments was Stoney Creek. Sorry, my dog just barked. Show you the cover. So when I bought this, I want to say there was something where you get the kit for making the stand-up or flat fold free with the purchase of a chart, or it was the opposite where you buy the chart, or you buy the kit and you get the chart for free. Anyway, this is my first flat fold or stand-up, whatever you like to call it. I don't know, stand-up is a trademark thing that they use. Anyhow, this is it. I finished this last night actually, and it didn't take any time at all. I am so thrilled with just knowing that I did something new and it turned out so well. Stoney Creek gave instructions and they included chipboard. They did not include the fabric and the cording or ribbon, but they gave great instructions. I'm going to be keeping this. I have watched a couple of Flosstube extras showing how to make the flat folds, and sometimes I just like to have something written with, you know, in pictures in front of me, and I was able to do that with that little booklet. But yeah, and include the chipboard, and I got this fabric at Hobby Lobby, I don't know when, but it's just navy star print. I had that ribbon already in my stash. Actually, I had the cording in my stash too. And the chart from Stoney Creek came with the buttons that are here, the star buttons, and you can't see them. There's a little patriotic heart button that I sewed onto the cording on that side, and this one has a little, can't see it. Oh, well, there you go. There's a star, which it's not a big deal to me, but like on their photo, they're so much bigger. But anyway, I'm hoping that, you know, these will fray out a little bit. So there's another finish. What else did I do this month? So I already have my WIPGO calls, my SAFGO done for this month. I'm going to be stitching the next Feathered Friends chart, which is this cute, adorable hummingbird that's sitting poolside with this little margarita. Can you see that? This is by December Stitches. I can't wait to do this one. I love the blues and the hummingbird. And I started this last night. It's the Dogwoods in the round. My start is so tiny, I'm not going to show it to you. I just have the center part done. And I don't know if I'm going to, I don't want to buy the earthenware, what they call it, heartware, this bowl. That little bowl with the 3-inch opening is 30 some dollars. And I was thinking of getting a little, like a votive candle cup and possibly using that. So I don't know. Remains to be seen how I finish this one. And because it's my big birthday month, I just figured I would do what I wanted. I've been here half a century, so I deserve the right to have a month of where I choose to stitch what I want, which I think I've been doing that anyway. Yeah, I've neglected all my whips that I have in my little bin beside my stitching chair, and I've just been kind of like picking up new things all the time. So, yeah, I think I've shared absolutely everything I've done. Obviously, my next floss tube won't be so long. I hope not to be gone for this long again. You know, sometimes life just happens, and when you do floss tubes, some people find it very easy to get on video and even pop on for just a couple minutes and start talking, and that's not easy for me. Being on film and photos is not easy for me. I think I've come a long way, just not dreading like coming to film a floss tube. But I'm seeing something here that I forgot to share with you. When I was doing the drum finish, I followed the instructions, of course, on how to cut out the mat board for the top and bottom. But this isn't, you know, it wasn't a size where, I don't know, you just don't go and buy circles already cut. I mean, I did find that Etsy seller that sells pre-cuts, but you have to buy more than one. But all your drums aren't going to be the same size necessarily. So I found this cutter. I want to say it was someone on Stitching with the Housewives Facebook group recommended it, but it's kind of like a compass, except it has a blade attached to it, and that worked very well for cutting through mat board for the top and bottom. So something to share with you. It's the Olfa. I know there's different models, and I couldn't really see what the difference was. There's the, it was called like a 3300, something like that. Maybe it's just the CMP1 9911. I did get used. I just have it in the package. Okay. Well, if you have any questions for me, please let me know. I'm sure that I didn't remember to say a certain fabric of something and how many threads I stitched with, that type of thing. Dogs are barking, telling me that it's time to wrap things up. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so glad that you came by to check out my channel. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful spring, and I will see you maybe at the beginning of May. I'm going to shoot for that. So have a blessed April. Bye. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you liked today's content, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel.